Anyone else that's coming in, they're gonna have to jump in and figure it out as they go. So my name is Dion Bowen. I'm the CEO of Epic Art Universe, a design and creative agency. So I have a background in graphic design, web design, marketing, promotional products, print and apparel, and we also have educational programming in schools in Baltimore. And that's our company. And Taylor, she should be here any second now. She's our director of programming and facilitation for a lot of our events. So, Epic Art Universe is a design agency. And I want to give you some backstory on the company. So, can we close that door, please? Thank you. So, Epic Art Universe, I have a background as a teacher. I used to teach in Annapolis. I used to teach business, and I used to teach a unique curriculum called Change Engineering, right? And Change Engineering had nothing to do with engineering, but just how to be able to create change in different environments and different communities. And we taught this approach to youth in high schools at Annapolis High School. And so when I left, I ended up leaving to become a full-time business owner, and Freddie Gray happened, right? And the uprising was plastered over every news station, over every TV, all over the country. And I thought to myself, like, man, this is in my backyard. What can I do to make a difference? What could I do to impact my community? How could I use my talents, my skills, what I'm passionate about, and turn it into a vehicle that could allow students and youth to be able to engage in, interests. If there were youth interested in what I do, how could I build it for them, right? And so today we're going to be talking about how to create change engines for entrepreneurship. And so if you look at your worksheet, I want you guys to take a quick second. I want you guys to write in those 3 lines at the top where you see passions, experiences, and expertise. I want you guys to write, what are you passionate about? And this is specific for you. What are you passionate about? It could be dogs. It could be riding a bike. It could be whatever you're passionate about. I want you to write 3 of them. Keep that circle open. Right on the 3 lines. What are you passionate about? All right, I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes for your experiences. Where have you worked? What have you been a part of? What do you do? What are some interesting experiences that you think would be cool for youth to know or be able to engage in? Expertise. Do you have you been to any trainings? What is your degree in? I didn't know y'all was coming to school today. All right, take another 30 seconds. You can grab those worksheets right there. Okay. All right. So time up. If you're just coming in, we're filling out our passions, our experiences, and our expertise, right? And I'm basically walking you guys through the framework that I took when I started building the initiatives and the ecosystems. And I didn't know it was called an ecosystem until I started going to cohorts with different organizations around the city. I started to go to networking events and started learning like what was it that I was trying to create, because I didn't know. So I began volunteering at my church. I began volunteering in my community. I began being a part of different cohorts and networking basically platforms. So I've been a part of the Future Baltimore Small Business Accelerator Program. I've been a part of John Hopkins Neighborhood Leadership Program, which is called the Bunton Neighborhood Leadership Program. I've been I'm part of the leadership with my fellow here, Miss Steffi the Techie. And then I've also did a ton of volunteering in my community, 21223 zip code, where an impact fund was just built for 6 partners within the community, 3 churches, 3 community organizations, and I serve as the liaison to do admin work, kind of passing things forward. And so we know an ecosystem is where a whole bunch of interactions can happen in a controlled environment, right? But we'll create equity ecosystems, right? And the equity ecosystem is the same environment intentions, but we're being real intentional about how we create opportunities that youth can engage into across the spectrum, right? So the Equity Project Foundation is a social enterprise that I built as a part of my Epic Art Universe. So it has a not-for-profit focus. There is it's fiscally sponsored by Fusion Partnerships. So the donations and everything that comes in from the Equity Project goes right to Fusion, and we use them to do our different projects. So I'm a brand guy, like I'm a graphic designer. I have my major, so I just build brands all day, right? If I got an idea, I don't sit on it, I just build a design, and then I build the infrastructure for it. So what you guys see is 5 logos here. We just added another program, but each one of these logos is a program or something that we do to give back or build into the youth. So the Youth Equity Summit, you guys have a flyer. It's a traveling platform where we talk about mental health, social justice, trauma, and then we combine that with college and career opportunities. We've hosted over 14 events, some in school, some at colleges and universities around the state. The Hustler program is an entrepreneurship program that we built to kind of talk about how to legitimize the ambition that we see in our communities that a lot of our youth get engaged with that's illegal, right? How do we take that illegal mindset and turn it into legitimate business practices where they can learn how to build effective businesses through entrepreneurship? The Youth Equity Kickback is what we do in person. Loyalty is Love is a clothing line scholarship project that we started. It's one of my first businesses and companies that I had. And then we have a Youth Entrepreneurship Network where we provide resources and funding for youth that already had businesses in Baltimore. So that is my ecosystem, and you guys are going to create your own ecosystem based off all the things that you are passionate about. Now, here's the Equity Project, and we're going to be diving in some of these case studies, looking at some data that we've collected, talking about how these projects and programs have impacted youth around Baltimore City. Some of my youth, they're running around the building now, playing a role in the event. So I told them what time my session started. If they can get in here to give a testimony, that'll be powerful. But if they can't, I'll try to relay the message as best as possible. So these are some of our youth entrepreneurs. This is our clothing line scholarship that looks like, we did a photo shoot. It looks like the old Firm picture from a while ago. If you guys listen to hip hop music. And this is a picture of the Youth Equity Summit. And this is the game changer. We're gonna go over this at the end. This is the game changer. How all of these things come up into how we can create impact right in our communities from some of the ecosystems that we built. All right. So the first thing you guys just talked about was your attributes, right? Brainstorming your attributes, your expertise, your experiences, and your passions, right? Because when you start building something, you are the subject matter expert for whatever framework or whatever structure that you want to build for youth entrepreneurship. So somebody just throw out, Give me one expertise that you have.
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. Okay, that's great. Can you give me one?
Project management.
Project management. Give me one.
Business consulting.
Business consulting. Now, all of those. Oh, you want to go?
Building networks.
Building networks. Okay. All of those are amazing skills, right? Now, is it safe to say that each one of those skills is an income stream there where you can generate income from all of those practices, right?
Yes.
So when we are able to build those income streams, we now can start surrounding that with infrastructure so that a youth could be able to learn, a youth can be able to engage, and be able to use the skills that you teach them to create something of their own that's unique. So our next thing is your let's go back real quick. In that first bullet point, you see attributes. Refer to your passions, your experiences, and your expertise. Consider the following questions. What skills or expertise can you bring to an entrepreneurial endeavor? So one of your passions, I want you guys to put in that first bullet point at the bottom of your page in green. I want you guys to add one attribute that you can build towards an entrepreneurial endeavor, and then we're going to discuss a quick idea of how you can cultivate that idea. So, number one, what skill or expertise can you bring to an entrepreneurial endeavor? You know what? Let's do a partner talk. You three, if you guys can discuss amongst yourselves, I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. You two discuss amongst yourselves the passions, experiences, and how those attributes can attribute. I'll give you guys a minute and a half. I'll give you 90 seconds. All right, go.
Bridget.
Gretchen.
Gretchen. I'm sorry.
Hi, Gretchen. Paul.
Stan. I mentioned Marine Corps. I'm a so my attributes. I put to the essence, which means don't quit.
You in my presentation, but
Most of us
you come back in like 10 minutes.
on the yellow footprints at Paris Island.
If
2 days, like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. I'm done. Right? 12.5 weeks later, we were, preparing for graduation. So stick to itiveness, passion. Just stay with it. Don't quit. Don't quit. Because, as you know, do you know the story behind WD-40? Why is it called WD-40, right? It's called water displacement. But they call it WD-40 because it was on the 40th chance.
I'm sorry, I didn't even see you over
that the formula worked. So I use that to help people to see that, sometimes it's keep trying. Keep trying, okay? Keep the light bulb on.
Well, mine's much more fun. Business planning.
Oh, business
Revenue, different.
Okay. So what happens if you have a youth who's COVID-19? The revenue stream goes to a trickle. What do you tell them?
Well, it depends on what they're doing. But I ran.
All right, guys, let's share out.
Can you change things around?
Okay.
Let's
Let's share out.
Nobody's here. You teach.
Y'all need
Improvise, adapt.
got enough time?
Yeah, for sure.
I give you guys number 30. You got number 30.
So, collaboration, building networks.
Collaboration.
That's my own. That's the one I
In about. I don't know.
Ten seconds.
Or if I would teach, you can't turn a double play by yourself. Okay? You gotta have shortstop separation. So, collaboration too.
All right.
That's right.
One person from the group, if you can share, one person.
I'm picking
That's
Stan.
me. That's Stan's our man.
Oh, me? Oh.
It's Stan. We vote Stan.
Stan.
Okay.
All right, let's do a popcorn real quick. Let's just do a popcorn and some names. So we're gonna pop around this. Say your first name, what you do. Under 10 seconds.
Paul, and I am with Junior Achievement of Central Maryland, and we, among many things, teach youth entrepreneurship.
Perfect.
I'm Stan. I'm with the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and I'm a job developer for 16 to 19-year-olds.
Perfect.
I'm Sarah. I'm from the University of Maryland, Baltimore. I'm Office of Community Engagement, and I'm Associate Director of Community Engagement Programs.
Hi, I'm Vanessa King. I am the owner of BK Tech Management Solutions. This is a consulting company that helps small business owners size and audit their objectives in their company. Also, I'm a parapreneur. I am a lead IT auditor in the corporate sector, and I help companies mitigate risk in their environment.
Perfect.
Hey everyone, I'm Jake. I'm the outreach manager at Wide Angle Youth Media. We're an arts education nonprofit that provides free programming for middle and high school students in Baltimore, as well as apprenticeships for folks in photo, video, graphic design, and animation.
Perfect.
Lisa Rawlings. I'm with University of Maryland Office of Community Engagement, and I lead our workforce initiatives.
I'm Gretchen LeGrand. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Digital Equity at the Deutsche Foundation, and I work as a consultant as well, doing technology talent pipeline work.
Diana Emerson, I'm the senior entrepreneurial experiences director. That's it.
For who?
For Junior Achievement.
My name is Stephanie Alfie. I'm the co-executive director of Coding in Schools. We're a nonprofit that does computer science education for young people, educators in Baltimore City. I am also a creative entrepreneur and leather crafter.
Okay, great introductions. All right, we're gonna get just two people to.
Over here.
Oh, hey, Kurt.
Kurt Summer with West Baltimore Renaissance Foundation and Lightbridge Hill.
Hey everybody, I'm Gemma Chester. I'm 19 years old. I'm currently a freshman at the Morgan State University. I'm a social work major. I actually helped put together the Excel conference, so I'm one of the young people on the team. So if you come to the luncheon, I'll be there along with Lamar, and we'll be speaking to you there. But if you have any other questions for me, as you can see, I'm with Heart Smiles. I'm a Heart Smiles Heartbeat, as well as an entrepreneur myself.
Mr.
Peace everyone, Rashad Staten. I am the Executive Director for Community Law and Action, and I'm a proud business partner and collaborator with Dion at Epic Art Universe.
Perfect. All right, you guys, really quick, two shout. I know Mr. Stan is going to go.
Okay, you
Yep.
ready?
Yep.
Okay, so we looked at, first was tenacity. And, me having been an ex-Marine, we talked about what it took to get through boot camp. You want to quit in those first 2 days, but what does it take? Tenacity to continue going. We talked about collaboration, working together to make sure getting something done. And we talked about, of all things, WD-40. Why? Why did we talk about WD-40? Because the people who created WD-40, it's called 40, because it was on the 40th test that they found the right formula for what's called water displacement. So that led to us saying that if we have a person whose business ran into difficulties like most businesses did through COVID-19, we do something called IAO. That's innovate, adapt, and overcome.
Y'all figured that out that quick.
We're
Wow. That's the whole framework right there.
Another minute.
All right, one more share.
Absolutely not.
All right.
One more share.
Doing just mine or?
Yeah, no, you should do yours.
All
Yours is
right,
good.
all right. So outside of work, I'm a photographer, and also I guess inside of work, I'm a photographer. I do that. I always carry a camera, and as part of the photography community in Baltimore, a lot of the stuff that folks have been looking for is building community, and so in being an outreach manager and having experience in community engagement, I put those two things together to start an Instagram page called Baltimore Scenes. It's a collaborative page with a couple other photographers in Baltimore where we are looking to build the photography community, especially among street photographers in Baltimore, but really just photographers in general. We've been going to a lot of different events. We're hosting photo walks. We are attending other community-hosted events, and in promoting those events, we've seen a larger rate of attendance across the board. So that's just kind of where it's starting. Eventually, I'm sure we'd all love to do like a print zine or something like that to really get some physical media out there. But I think for now, it's just been fun to build the community and bring folks together.
All right, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, so we are going to transition to the next component, which is industry fit, and our director of programming, Ms. Taylor Carter, who's having a rough morning. Let's give her a little.
Thank you. Y'all are so sweet. I appreciate you all. Hi, good morning. My name is Taylor Carter. I do a number of things: ed consulting, proud director of programming for Epic Art Universe, former city schools teacher, do a lot of work around SEL, youth entrepreneurship, and things of that nature. Happy to be here with you all to discuss these matters. So I was really enjoying what I was hearing around what your interests are, your passions, specifically that like grand point of how do we get from one part to the next, and also thinking about iterations, right? I think that's one of the best things to consider in entrepreneurship, because if you are not iterating on what you're doing, then you're probably never actually gonna grow, right? Before you stepped out there on the scene and said, I sell this or I do this, I'm sure there were ideas that had nothing to do with that last one that you came across before that point, right? So when we think about industry fit, both for ourselves and for the young people that we work with, you always want to think about like, how do I get to that point of understanding what do I offer and where does it fit in, right? So I could have a passion for cooking, I got experience in teaching and other things, but like, what am I doing with that that makes it unique? What am I doing with that that's something that young people actually need? How am I looking at my interests, my skills, my passions, my experiences to actually kind of tweak it to make sure not only am I maybe teaching young people how to cook, but am I also educating them on their health? Am I also educating their families on their health? Maybe I can now pull in partners, and now we're talking about farming or things you can grow in your home. So finding what they call your niche in that specific area that meets the needs of the young people or the people that you are trying to serve. So when we look at point number 2, which is industry fit, it involves figuring out where there is a need, right? So I like to do this thing, it's called a catalyst canvas. It's where you put together those top parts, your passions, experiences, and expertise, and then you ponder on like, okay, but what do people need from me, right? So we're gonna send you back into your pockets that you were just talking in to think about, this is what I offer. You might even know some of the needs that exist already, but I want you to dive deeper into those needs. Like, what aspects of what I like can I either expand, or in this mini ecosystem you're working with, can I work with you to think deeper about what are the needs that we see? All right, so we're gonna give you guys about 2-3 minutes.
2 and 1 minute.
Okay, 1.5. This is rapid fire. All right, so just toss out there to each other. What are needs that you're seeing that aren't necessarily met, or that is a challenge to meet?
Go.
People say needs.
Yeah. I can tell you guys something that I'm working on right now. There's lack of competitive, affordable broadband internet
through the app,
like Comcast if you live in the city, but it doesn't
Okay, so how are you finding that?
and so in my work to support
and then what you're seeing is barriers to them. That's not just, you know how kids have to like break down layers before they realize like this is a skill and interest. How are you getting down to that?
So I'd say access to resources.
And then with that, right, like y'all passions, access. So for example, right?
Yeah.
One thing I like to do is a lot of these kids on TikTok, even though probably education. They love TikTok and
network,
right? So how do you involve
There are basic, from an introduction entrepreneur,
just the process around framing ideas of what makes
from 11
a video, a documentary,
broad,
whatever. How do y'all kind of engage young people who may not originally be interested in this, but it's like,
and access to whether it's, sometimes you may have this over here, your geography, where you are in life doesn't give you access to everything.
Is that something you kind of have a solid plan?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. Well, you know, I got 32 years in the business, okay? And there is no more difficult, there's no way to help a man who's surrounded by water who is thirsty. Now, what does that mean? I found out that basic life skills really have to be good, okay? Are you on time? Do you listen? Do you follow instructions? Did you follow thorough instructions? Did you hear what I said? Repeat it back to me to make sure you understand what you have to do. Because oftentimes people hear because they have ears, but they don't listen to what I'm saying. Case in point, a quarterback will call a play, right? If the wide receiver didn't go to where he was going, maybe he didn't hear where he was supposed to be. You know what I mean? So, with me, it's about listening and making sure you know what to do when to do.
All right, let's come back. Okay.
We're good. This is
all right. So what we've talked about so far is passions, experiences, and expertise. We also looked at how that will work for youth and what the ask or the need is, right? And so we're gonna start our first case study, and we're gonna try to get through this, Taylor, 2 minutes. Okay, get me through this in 2 minutes. I want to show you guys a quick presentation, right? So one of the things that I started doing when I started volunteering, I started looking for ways that I can create impact. How can I bring my skills to the youth directly? So from a graphic design standpoint, I was working on a marketing campaign for the health department around violence prevention, right? And that violence prevention thing led to a after-school program. The after-school program, they asked me, well, what do you do? And I'm a graphic designer. So I started teaching kids how to do entry-level graphic design using free apps on iPads. And we were creating positive propaganda that would lead other youth that were going through issues that would lead to violence like neglect or like the lack of mentorship or food access. And they were creating these graphics that could be used for social media marketing, right? So this whole social media campaign through educating youth. And so we did that campaign, and it was a lot of trauma, and I was like, all right, I also do print production, I build brands, I build logos and designs. When I graduated college, I didn't get a job immediately, so I drew something on the paper. My brother said, man, that should go on the shirt. And we put it on the shirt, and next thing you know, I had a clothing line, right? And 10 years later, I still had a clothing line that I was selling out my trunk, that I was popping up at all family environments, family engagement, like buy my shirt, buy my clothes. And it got to a point where I was ready to quit. I was like, look, man, I can't do this no more. It's just recycling money, because clothing brand businesses are a cash heavy business, meaning that you pay up front, you make money on the back end, right? And so I was like, man, I can't keep dumping all this money into this clothing line. I don't have time to sell it. I'm coaching football. I'm working at a school. I'm running a network marketing business in the evenings. I just didn't have the time, right? And so I prayed about it. Look, God, I'm gonna just quit this. If you don't tell me what to do, I'm done. And so what happened was, he said, give it to the youth, right? And so I didn't know what that looked like, but I was ready to do it. So in year one of the clothing line, basically, I just did a pop-up. I went to my community organization. I said, look, I want to give away free food. I want to give away school supplies, and we're going to sell our merchandise. All right, guys, never mind to tell. And so in year one, we did a one-day pop-up in my community on 21223 zip code, which is the Fair Street Outreach Organization, where we gave away free food, school supplies, and we sold some clothes, right? The second year, I was like, man, how can I build this bigger? So the second year, we got 5 interns, and we taught them how to create a collection of the clothing line. So they did design, printing, marketing, financial budgeting, digital media, and we did a pop-up. The second year, our pop-up was a 3-day pop-up that we did, and we was able to give away over $6,500 in scholarship money from the proceeds and partnerships to build it, right? And so I said, man, how can I go even bigger? And so what we noticed when we started doing our youth equity summits was that there were youth that already had businesses in Baltimore, and we were like, man, how can we create a space where they can be a part of what we're doing with the equity summit? So we brought along, in our next year, our pop-up, we had a pop-up, one on the west side and one on the east side of Baltimore, where youth were able to come and pop up and sell their materials. and then we were able to take those. We were able to give out scholarship money, the youth generated income, and we had a little group of youth that had businesses. One being Miss Gemma Chester in the back. She actually helped recruit and organize the Youth Entrepreneurship Network. And as a recap, I'm gonna play this quick video of the recap of our last year's clothing line pop-up that happened at Bond Secure Community Works Building right there on 31 South Payson Street. Hey, you guys, we had the Loyalty and Love Scholarship Project right here at 31 South Payson Street. We've been building this collection for the last couple of weeks now. Our youth interns have been able to design, print, do some marketing, some financial budgeting, some digital media. They created the flyers, the t-shirts that had all of those things. Follow us, Loyalty and Love Clothing on Instagram. Our website is www.loyaltyandloveclothing.com. I want you guys to come and support. The proceeds for this pop-up goes directly to their scholarship funds and help us sustain this program. We run this every single year. For the last 3 years, we've been able to give over $10,000 scholarship funds, and we look to increase that more with your support. So go to loyaltyandloveclothing.com or follow us on the Instagram. Let's show these kids some love. We also popped up with some youth entrepreneurs today. They have their own brand, they have their own style, and their own ways to make money, and all we try to do is provide resources and funds.
On this road to riches, down and listen to terms. Don't let the bridges that you cross turn into bridges you burn. You're bound to listen to terms. Don't let the bridges that you look. Hey yo, I walk along this long harbor of life and little with peers. Reflect on my pain and know my fears. Should I feel announced and guilt that I outdid all my peers? Or write my name in the sky and show them I'm here. This one is for the history books. Picture me shook or failing. This is revenge to the dream of misery. Took a million of my folks from them. Don't even know some of them no more. The coke number, no suicide, no from them. They killing themselves, slowly killing themselves. 5 iPhones drop, my still in the cell. He say he failed, guys, I doubt it. Each his own, whatever keep you strong to get about it. We need your home, cause see a work.
All right, for the sake of time, we want to stop that. And we do have a youth entrepreneur that's here. So Gemma wanted to have her just share a little bit about what we've been doing in the summertime with the Youth Entrepreneurship Network. Give it up for Gemma.
So Ms. Dion put me on the spot. I'm not prepared for this at all. But working with the Youth Entrepreneurship Network has provided me personally with a number of opportunities. I work closely with Sydney, who's a good homegirl of mine. We started the project together. Dion, Will, it's a lot of us. But we work very closely trying to connect other youth entrepreneurs in the city to Mr. Dion and his program to give them the exposure that they can get from all the opportunities that he welcomes them with Youth Entrepreneurship Network. The summits, conferences are probably my favorite part. Meeting so many different people in the city who are interested in young people and helping them grow their business has probably been my favorite part so far. I know for me, I think at the one we had last year, I was at my table and the lady who came up to me, I can't remember the name of her daycare center, but she was like, "Oh, do you do sipping paints?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, can you do one tonight?" And it was like 3 o'clock and she was like, "Yeah, I need you there at 6. And I was like, I wasn't driving at the time. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I told this lady yes. And I had to go home, had to find a bunch of blank canvases, gave it all my supplies and stuff. And then I found a way there, got there, and did the sipping paint. She paid me after I did it. So the opportunities came like that. And my connection with Mr. Dion has definitely been one that's been beneficial on both ends. So I really appreciate the support that he's offered with my business.
Thank you for that impactful story. And shout out to Dion. I think one thing that I have learned in this time engaging in this work is the true impact that Dion has had on young people and the confidence and the quick thinking that we know entrepreneurs need to have, i.e. everything she just said. That being established, I'll say we did a program, Entrepreneur Hustle, which you'll see on one of these slides. We did it with some young people last summer. And one of the biggest pieces that was mentioned from the young people was their nervousness around the work. And that was a major piece when it came to them pitching or even just speaking in the class before we brought people in, was their nervousness around the work. And so when we think about industry fit and what makes your offerings unique, right? I want you to think about, Dion mentioned going bigger, but also going deeper, right? So when you have your work, prime example, we were over here speaking about how they use media with the young people and teaching them the skill set to thrive in that industry, and also learning the things they already do that could relate to the industry. Another piece that I mentioned from my teacher and SEL-based background is now, how do we also bring in the experiential piece of having students making media around social emotional skills, having students making media so they're learning the skills of the media, but you're also ingraining in them certain habits of mind and skills. So when we think about the ecosystem and everything that each of us are doing, and in the greater ecosystem as well, consider every time we start to scale and go bigger and say, okay, we got this new service, we got this new product, we have this new whatever it is we're offering, how are we going deeper with our young people to make the impact of it that much greater, right? I know, so junior achievement, that's J in Biztown. I went with some of my 4th and 5th graders one time. So say, for example, young people are doing the media here, and now while they're on their trip to JA Biztown, they're interviewing each other about the experience that you all are providing. And now they're also able to think about, from the language they've developed and the mindsets they've developed from this workshop with them, where they're learning the skill set of what it means to interview, record, and edit and stuff, but the content of what they're putting in the skills they're learning is now showing up in their work with you. So while I'm pretending to be like mayor or banker or whatever the case, I got the language to ask you about your decision making around this role. I now have the language to ask you how do you feel about having this power in this agency. I got the power, I got the language to ask my peers, what would you do if you did this in real life? Capture that on footage. Now our school is able, or just the class that took that trip, is able to present that content to the school. In addition to that, we're now able to push that out to the district. So now that's an ecosystem role that was played in developing that. But at the end of the day, them young people have developed a minimum of 3 skills. Those SEL skills, what JA Biztown provides, what your crafting around the media has provided them, right? So when we think about industry fit and always growing and getting bigger, think about the depth of what you're truly deeply ingraining in young people, what they're getting just by experience of what it is you're already providing. And that, what we just spoke about right here, ties into our next point of relationships that I'm gonna kick over to Dion to bring about. Because relationships, at the end of the day, it ain't gonna work if you don't got no relationships with people, right? If y'all don't have that connection to know, hey, we got some kids coming over to y'all, maybe the media that they've crafted from our program, post it on y'all's website. So now you're getting traction from both of you, right? So, where's Dion?
If you can get the light, turn the light back on, I want to make sure we covering the camera guy back there. So some of the relationships, and I can go example, but I want you guys to think, who do you know that does what could benefit your program or your organization? Loyola was looking to do something around entrepreneurship. They saw one of our programs, and from that relationship, we built the entrepreneurship camp. Right, our community organization was looking to impact youth in the community around entrepreneurship, and we partnered with them for their Youth Works organization to provide entrepreneurship training during youth work. So some of the relationships and networks that we already have, we're able to use those to be able to craft what it looks like to build a framework for, an engine that we could, kind of facilitate through the youth. So while we talk, I want you guys to write if you got any ideas, any relationships that you can cultivate, any networks that you are a part of. How can those networks be beneficial to you all in the grander stage of building out an entrepreneurial framework? And then so we looked at potential collaborators. So it doesn't take you the whole time to build this all by yourself. It's like, how can a part of my programming be influenced or impacted by someone else that's doing similar work? So how me and Taylor partnered together. She's huge in social emotional learning. The Youth Equity Summit is a way that we are engaging youth at a level around mental health, around trauma, around social justice and community advocacy. And social emotional learning is one of those key factors that database has shown after COVID, a lot of our students deal with a lot of social emotional issues around engaging people, around being comfortable speaking in public, around their confidence, their identity. And so we're able to infuse all of that into our programming. We're just bringing on people. The Equity Summit is really built for us to be able to push out community-based organizations, entrepreneurs, creatives, and leaders to be able to speak and directly impact youth. And so if you look at the summit, we'll have about 15 topics covered, about 35 speakers on Saturday, and we'll be right there in the Talent Center on Saturday. And so the next component of this, and we're gonna get through because I know our time is coming to an end. Taylor?
Yes, awesome. So as Dion is going through the last part, and I love that he's infused his case study of all the work he's done in epic art throughout this entire framework, so you can see just how it happens and it rolls out. I wanted to make sure that we paused to give you just 1 minute to literally jot down what relationships you have or people that you can think of in this moment that maybe I'm gonna write their name down because I need to remember to reach out to them later. So we're gonna give you about 30 seconds to jot down any people, organizations, based on everything you're hearing right now, that might work as a good partnership or just someone for you to connect with. Someone for you to kind of grow in this ecosystem with. Even if you don't know them yet or haven't worked with them yet, if you're like, I've seen this one page or org, go ahead and jot them down. And keep in mind, your organization can be absolutely amazing. It could have existed for the past 75 years. If you're not partnering with people today, if you're not constantly thinking about the people that exist in the area, you're not going as far as you could go. All right, did anybody think of someone or something, an org that you've written down? Perfect, because if you're like me, I'll think of you now and I'll forget later to reach out to that person. I've started setting calendar reminders to text people and reach out to people. I forget all the time, it's horrible. So closing this out on the last point about capital, which is where those relationships come into play. And this is a big piece I like for people to explain to young people as well. Capital is not just your money. Capital is social capital. So again, those names y'all wrote down, if you got more, just reach out to them and say, hey, I love the work that you're doing to plant a seed for an idea that may be able to happen between y'all, I don't know, months from now, right? But explaining to our young people that even their teachers are part of their social capital that they will need later. So I'm gonna pass it on to Dion to close out that capital part.
Okay, 3 different things that I want you guys to focus on. The entrepreneurship frameworks that we build, they all do one thing first, they generate income. So what a social enterprise is that cause-effect style business structure, but also has a for-profit model to it, right? So our Loyalty is Love Scholarship Project is a non-profit-based initiative. It's under our foundation. So we're able to partner with organizations that work and focus around entrepreneurship. They focus around any type of digital design, creative design, social emotional learning, violence prevention strategies. So now we have like a two-way street where our business can generate income through the products and services that we offer, as well as meet some of the goals of some organizations that have a specific emphasis on structural ways to impact the youth in their own creative way. Sometimes it's to get the access to the youth. However that role plays out, we make it happen. Social capital, who we know, how we know them, and what is that relationship, and how what does it look like for like some of the relationships that you build. So he said he builds network. What his name was?
Paul.
Paul said he builds networks, and I think that's powerful. I met a guy from Innovation Works named Jay, and Jay just met him in our neighborhood community. I didn't know what Innovation Works was at the time, but he's led me to so many different industries, connected me with so many different people, and played a huge role in how we've been building the social entrepreneurship, social enterprise. In financial capital, how can we fund and finance capital through our partnerships to generate income to sustain our programming in Baltimore? It's great to partner. There's a ton of opportunity here. There's a ton of people doing some amazing work. And so we try to get in front of them as much as possible. We try to bring a conglomerate of our resources and partners around. For instance, when we go to the Youth Equity Summit, we've done one in Montgomery County, in Anne Arundel County, in Eastern Shore, and all of those organizations want to see multiple people speaking on multiple topics. So all of those capital instances could play a role. There's a lot of social innovation organizations like Innovation Works, Social Innovation Lab, I think it's called Creative Inc. And they all give financial resources and capital to help build entrepreneurial-based initiatives. And one of our last projects, and we're going to end with this, and then there is a survey if you guys have the SHED Act, which is used for the conference. So in my community, in the 21223 zip code, there's a garden there, right, that we adopted through a community organization. And what's significant about this garden is that the street that it's on is called Vine Street. When I first moved in the neighborhood, it was the most drug-infested, high traffic area in the neighborhood, right? Really, really small block. But some older women from the community started to build it up. They put a garden right here. It was a house here. The house ended up collapsing, so it became two houses in the garden, in that space, right? And so a couple years ago, I just adopted it. All I've been doing is cutting the grass. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And so while we were building up these programs, I thought about, like, how could we introduce something that probably has never been seen before in Baltimore? And it was a way for us to turn a vacant lot into a revenue generating, workforce development, sculpture garden, food access, and a food burn community. How could we build all of that up using or partnering with youth that are entrepreneurs? So this is like a rendering mock-up of what we want it to look like. We want to put a car wash there that will seasonally work to generate income and give job experience to youth. We're going to put like a shipping container that's converted into some type of like food kitchen in a sense. And it may not even be producing food, but if we could bring vending trucks, food vendors to the community to provide some type of food access, all the money leaves our neighborhood in this community because there are lack of resources and businesses. And then really creating this a beautiful mural that goes on the wall that could be a highlight right in between Pulaski Street, which is the main street in our community that goes from the West Baltimore MUP train station up into Baltimore Pulaski, where Grace Medical Center is. So that's the corridor, right? Bus line and everything. And then we wanted to do gardening stuff, some programming where we could include our local church and some of the youth to be able to play a role in developing our garden. And what does this look like for sustainability practice, right? If there's a space where food can be accessed, where youth could use it as a small business pop-up for their businesses occasionally. If we had a movie projector to go on the wall at night just to provide movie and a safe space for entertainment in our community, that would be amazing. And so we're currently fundraising for this project now, and this is one of the things that if we can execute, how many vacant lots are in Baltimore? A ton, right? How do we take that squeegee collaborative idea and put it to a working space where they can generate income, learn skills, and start cultivating some small business e-commerce. All right, thank you guys for your time.